This is Chapter 8, Lesson 4, Area of Circles. The area of a circle equals the product of pi and the square of its radius. Okay, there's several things we need to go over right now, and this right here on our paper would represent pi. Pi is going to equal 3.14. Okay, now later when you get in 8th grade, you'll use the pi button on your calculator, but we are not using calculators, so we're going to use 3.14. Then you have to understand what is the difference between radius and diameter, okay, because that's very important. You have a circle, and if you measure straight across the circle, this is your diameter. If you have a circle and you're only going to measure half of that, half of the diameter is your radius. Okay, you really need to know that, because if not, you're going to mess up. So half of it is your radius. All of it, that's your radius. But then all the way across would be your diameter. Radius is half of your diameter. And that's all this is plugging numbers into your formula. But if you don't know this difference, you're going to mess up. Okay, so let's determine the area of the circle. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. Okay, so let's just fill in the formula. So area is going to equal pi, which is 3.14, times radius squared. Okay, so they gave us the radius, so we're going to do 5 squared. So then we have 3.14, and 5 squared is 25. So now then I need to multiply 3.14 times 25, okay, 20, and then have your placeholder. You can put a 0 there or a placeholder, whatever you want. And then 2 times 4 is 8, 2, and then 6. Add it up. Don't forget your decimals. 1, 2, 1, 2. So, area equals 78.5 inches squared. Okay. Make sure you always put your unit and square it. All right, let's look at the next one. A semicircle is half of a circle. What is the formula? Formula is going to be A equals 1/2 pi r squared. Because it's a half of a circle, we need to half the formula. Okay, so if you would rather turn it into a decimal and multiply 0.5 pi r squared, you can do that. Or you can do pi r squared divided by 2. Any of that will work. Okay, so you can do 0.5, and it would be pi times r squared. Or you can do pi r squared divided by 2. All of 3 of those are the same thing. Okay, again, you just really need to know your diameter and your radius, or you're going to get mixed up. A quarter circle is 1/4 of a circle. So what do you think that formula would be? Well, same as the half. A equals 1/4 pi r squared. Okay, or 0.25 pi r squared, or pi r squared divided by 4. Now then, I will tell you, the correct formula for these is this one right here. Okay, that is the correct formula. So let's look at this. Okay, we have this shape right here, and I believe it to be a semicircle. It's half of a circle. But they gave us, what measurement did they give us? 6 feet, but is it radius or is it diameter? They gave us the diameter. I do not want the diameter, I want the radius. So if I just took this part of it, because that's my radius, it's half of the diameter, would be 3 feet for the radius. Okay, so half of the diameter is your radius. So let's go with the semicircle, which would be A equals 1/2 pi r squared. Let's fill in the blanks. 1/2, 3.14 times the radius, not your diameter, the radius, 3 squared. You're going to miss those problems if you do it by the diameter. Okay, so 1/2, 3 times 3.14 times, and 3 squared is 9, because that's ultimately 3 times 3. So now we're going to do 3.14 times, 9. Okay, that would be, and you can't forget your decimals. Okay, so now I have 1/2 times 28/26. So remember I told you could just divide it. So if I took 28.26 and divided that by 2, I'd get 1,413. Okay, so this would be the area of my semicircle, and it would be feet squared. Always label it in square. Whatever your unit of rate is, it's always squared. All right, let's look at some homework problems. I'm only doing a few of these. You know, I get so excited about videoing, I just kind of get carried away, but I am going to do a few of them for you. And again, all this is plugging it into your formula. So I'm going to give you the formula, and you're going to have to show your work, okay? So number 2, okay, we have area of a circle equals pi r squared. Always write down your formula and then fill it in. Okay, we have 3.14 times your radius squared. Now look at your circle. What did they give us? Okay, I would do this on the top of your worksheet. All the way across is going to be diameter. Half is radius. So they gave you the diameter, but I want the radius. So you have to divide by 2 and you get 6. So 6 squared. Multiply that out. Show all of your work and show it on notebook paper. Number 4. Area of the circle is pi r squared. So fill it in. 3.14 times 4 squared. They gave you the radius. So again, you should be working on notebook paper because I am just giving you the formulas. Number 6. On your notebook paper, you're going to write area equals pi r squared. Okay, 3.14 times r squared. Again, look at what they gave us. I only want this. I want half of it. So divide by 2. And when you divide that by 2, you're going to get 2.8. I'll give you that much. 2.8 squared. Okay, don't forget about your decimals when you're doing your multiplying. Okay. Just want to make sure y'all getting it set up right. Okay, let's go to number 10. These are the same thing, but it just doesn't have a picture. It gives you radius or diameter. Again, don't forget what the formula is, and this is diameter and this is radius. So let's look at number 10. Determine the area of each semicircle or quarter circle. Use 3.14 for pi, round to the nearest tenth. Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so we're just doing the shaded part. So forget this other side's there. We just want the semicircle or the quarter circle. So for this one, you have A equals 1/2 pi r squared. And I like to use where I'm just going to, at the end, divide by 2. So we have pi, which is 3.14, times your radius squared. They gave you the radius. And at the end, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, if you want to keep it over here, we're going to multiply by 1/2. That's fine. Remember on your notes, I told you there was 3 ways to do it. This is my favorite way to do it. Okay, my favorite way to do it. So show your steps on your multiplication on your notebook paper and get your answer. Remember, all answers are with your unit rate, yard, feet, inches, whatever, squared. And this one you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, this one is your quarter circle. So remember it was A equals 1/4 pi r squared. But I'm going to divide, fourth. I'm going to divide by 4 at the end. Okay, so I have 3.14 times r squared. So they did give me my radius. Okay, so 14 squared. And at the end, when you do all this together, divide by 4. And remember, it's going to be centimeters squared. Now, I'm going to show you 14 because it is very challenging. Okay. The bullseye on an archery target has the radius of 3 inches. That's your bullseye right here. This inner circle is your bullseye. The entire target has a radius of 9 inches. Okay, so the entire target has 9 inches, but the bullseye is 3. To the nearest tenth, another important piece of information, to the nearest tenth, determine the area of the target outside of the bullseye. So, when I'm doing, my answer basically wants to know the area outside of the bullseye. I want to know everything in this circle except for the bullseye. That's what I want to know. This is a problem-solving question. Okay? What is the area of the target outside of the bullseye? It's multi-step, but you can do it. So first, let's find what the bullseye is. Find the area of the bullseye. Okay, so it's going to be pi r squared. So 3.14 times 3 squared. Okay, and I'm going to label this one as bullseye. Okay, BE for bullseye. That's going to be the inside square. Now then, for the whole target, I know I kind of did them in separate opposite colors. I'm sorry for that if that confuses you, because I did this one in orange and this one in blue, and I just mixed them up. Sorry. The whole target is going to be pi r squared, so 3.14 times 9 squared. Okay? And when you get your answers, you've got the whole target, and then you got the bullseye area. And we want to know what's outside of the bullseye. So to do that, we need to subtract the bullseye. Okay? So you're going to take the whole area and subtract the bullseye. To get your answer. Okay? This needs to be done on your notebook paper. It needs to be all of your work shown step by step for the bullseye, all your multiplication, step by step on your multiplication on the whole target. And then when you get those answers, you're going to subtract your whole area. Okay, subtract that bullseye from your whole area. And this is the answer we're looking for, inches squared. Okay? Round to the nearest tenth. Round to the nearest tenth. Show all of your work on notebook paper. If you have a question, you can ask it on Google Docs or come early in the morning and we'll be here.